So if there were any of those, we're going to talk about those. Okay, 45, just mark the right answer. 45 is C. 46 is E. 47 is B. 48 is D. And 49 is A. 48 is D.
Wait, what were 45?
Okay, I'm gonna start over and go fast. C, E, B, D, A. Okay. Next page. 50 is C. 51 is A. 52 is B. 53 is C. 54 is D. And 55 is A. Okay, so out of 11, what's 60% of 11? Someone do the math. I'm doing that's a calculator. 60% of 11.
6.6.
Okay, so you want to get 7 or above on this in order to say like I'm in pretty good shape for this test. So count them up. See how many before you consulted. I don't know if you kept track of that, but see how many you got right before you consulted. Yeah. Yes. 50 is C, A, B, C. 54 is D, and 55 is A. Okay, so you're aiming for 7 or more. How many of you got 7 or more? Raise your hand.
Wait, how many questions?
Okay, great. You guys put your hands up. I'm gonna wait for these 3. 7 or more? Okay. All right. So let's talk about the ones that even after consulting, you maybe still got wrong. Were there any of those?
50.
Okay, let's look at 50. That is the hardest one. Because my gut reads this poem and I'm like, this is so patronizing to her. That's my go-to, right? I feel like this person is being very patronizing towards the object of their affection by being like, well, I know what's best for you, but I guess you should have it that way anyway, you know? But then I look at that section, lines 13 through 16. Oh, formed for love, oh, wherefore should you fly from the seducing charm it spreads around? Oh, why entrain your soul with apathy, or wish it frozen fetters to be bound? It is slightly patronizing. I'm sticking by that a little bit, but that is one of those questions where there are 2 answers that are right, and you have to choose between the answers that are going to be, one is going to be more right. And it is a fact that it is imploring, because questions are imploring, and it is asking her like why, multiple questions especially are imploring, and it's asking her why this, why this, why this. And so in that case, my gut wants to go with patronize because I have such a strong reaction to the poem, especially thinking it was written by a man, and now I'm very confused about it. But ultimately, imploring is the one that is like on the surface the most correct, without having to dig too deep into the meaning of the whole poem. Okay, because you're just looking at lines 13 through 16. Yeah. Okay, any other questions we should go over, Amberly? 53, lines 31 through 32. So, a soul like mine was never formed to prove those viler passions with which some can burn. So I think for that one, you got to go a line earlier to really figure it out. It says, yet pride must save me from a dastard love. Why don't we use dastard anymore? Dastardly. Yet pride must save me from a dastard love. So he's talking about his own pride, right? And he's like, I'm still assuming it's a man, is saying, I have too much pride to invest my love in you. Because it's not going to be a helpful love. It's not going to be a good love. A groveling love. Groveling is just like, you know, falling down at her feet and worshiping her, that cannot hope return. Like, I'm not going to worship you knowing that you're never going to love me back because I have more pride than that. And then he gets into a soul like mine. Like, I'm so awesome. My beautiful soul was never formed. So God didn't make me to prove those viler passions with which some can burn. So like my soul is too sort of refined maybe to participate in this kind of vile, groveling nature of love, which, some dudes can do that, but not me, So then you look here, it says, realizes that his religion will prevent him from experiencing ordinary love. No, he's not talking about ordinary love here, but also when it says soul, he's not also talking about religion all that much either. So eliminate that one. Hopes to provide an example of the vulgar suitors he has known. He is kind of referencing the more like vulgar suitors, kind of, but not like, they're not suitors of him. They're not specific. And so that word example there throws me off. So it's not that one. Proclaims that he cannot by nature tolerate a lack of dignity in love. Now it does feel like he's talking about that, right? Because of this idea of pride and he can't have this kind of vile love. So I'll come back to that one. Understands that his way of loving may be judged by others to be weak. Well, if he were to participate in the kind of love he's talking about, maybe so, but he's like rejecting that love. He's pretending here like, I'm not going to love you. I'm just going to write this poem instead, And then E says, expresses certainty that philosophy and reason are stronger than passion. That's sort of beside the point of this poem. It is really a very specific one. So then if I go back through, I've eliminated everything but C. I look at that and C looks to be the one that is correct. I always do process of elimination on these questions. And the reason is because of that kind of, that there might be a good answer, but there might be a better answer. Because you might go with, you see B or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, that seems true. But then I do process of elimination because as you go along, something seems more true. So always read all of the options to your question. Oh wait, any others you want to talk about? Okay, then we are good. I do have the percentages here that people got the questions wrong. Are you curious about it? So I've got the percentage for how many got it right, actually. So I'll tell you the lowest ones. 49 was the lowest. Only 27% of people got that one right. You got it. 54 was the second lowest. Only 33% of people got that one right. And then 55 was the third lowest, and 39% of people got that one right. So those are pretty low scores for this test. Usually it's in the 60s or so. This passage in particular had pretty low scores, but the one that the most people got right was 45. And 52, because a lot of times those kind of straight vocabulary questions, it's been drilled into their heads. But did anyone miss 52 in here? Because we have not talked about oxymorons. Okay. Oxymorons come up on this test for whatever reason. That's the vocab word that they're like, better make sure you know what an oxymoron is. I don't know, it's kind of arbitrary, but the one for oxymoron that I always remember is from Animal Farm, where it says that some people are more equal, which is like you can't be more and equal. Or I remember jumbo shrimp. You can't be a jumbo and a shrimp, and yet somehow you can. But yeah, that's an oxymoron. You're a jumbo shrimp. Oh, onomatopoeia is like buzz or pow or things that sound like the word. Onomatopoeia, yeah. All right, you can put that away or throw it away, whatever you want to do with it. If you are below that 60% score, come to more multiple choice practices. The more that you do, the more you get in the habit of knowing how to answer these questions. And then pull out the blackberry picking poem from last time and your essays that you did. I didn't collect those, did I? No. Yeah, pull out those half essays that you did. No. Do you want to?
No. Okay.
Oh, brother.
Actually, no, I like it.
Don't you feel a sense of satisfaction after you do them?
No, I usually don't finish it. Yeah, I like to have it. I told you to stop.
And then if you weren't here, and if Sam wasn't here and Ella weren't here, I have the phone for you. I will give you. I did say that. Yep.
From now on. That's what you said last time. I will be here in class, not 20 minutes.
All right, I'm counting on it.
I'm generally a pretty punctual person, but the other things I mess up socially. I'm super punctual, but then I'm also like rude. So it just is like, well, okay.
You're like, I got some things going for me, I swear.
No, that's not.
I might make you cry, but I'm punctual.
I might. But, you know, I like this book. The Blackberry one.
I love
like
it.
this one.
Everybody else has it?
I really like it.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, last time when you read this, you had to do it in a hurry and you had to establish your thoughts very quickly. That's a huge part of doing these timed poetry essays, is getting kind of going with your gut on your first thought and then running with it because you don't have enough time to make it perfect, right? But we have a little time here to look more carefully at the poem. So now that you've got it in front of you, I am going to give you 10 minutes. Nah, let's do 5 minutes. 10 minutes is a little long. I'm going to give you 5 minutes and you're going to try and find instances of all these things. And you're going to mark it on the poem. So we've got, I know it's got alliteration and metaphors and similes. I think there's some tonal shifts there. I think there's juxtaposition. There's some slant rhymes in there. What's a slant rhyme again? Almost a rhyme. Yeah. I rhyme is the one that looks like it would rhyme but doesn't. And a slant rhyme is the one that like it's got a lot of things in common but doesn't quite rhyme. Allusions or references. I didn't know quite what to call the Bluebeard thing, so I think it's more of an allusion, but you can call it either. Consonants and assonants. Look for some parallelism. This is when grammatically something is kind of sounds like a list because it's grammatically set up parallel. Caesuras and enjambments. So in this 5 minutes, you're basically just like speed annotating and trying to find all of these different poetic qualities. I'm going to time you so I don't give you too long. Okay, you can go ahead and get started. We're going to look at the sample essays that AP released with this poem now. So they have 3 of them. One is high scoring and the middle one and the low scoring one. And then they gave, they used to do this, they don't anymore, but they gave very long descriptions of why they got the scores that they got. So what we're going to do is in those same groups of 3 that we were working on, we are going to score these according to the new rubric. The old rubric was on a scale of 9. I liked it better, but they didn't listen to my opinion. They graded things as a whole. So it was like, I read this essay and as a whole, I feel like this one's a 7, you know, and they were rewarding you for things that you did well. The new rubric is more quantitative. It's you get a point for having a thesis statement. You get 4 points for the evidence, and you might get 1 point for the sophistication. So I'm passing out that rubric with the specifics on it to see how you can get certain kind of points. So what we're going to do is take this rubric. You're going to read each essay quietly to yourself, and you are going to pretend that you're the teacher. This is the scenario that I gave AP Lang yesterday with this activity, and then I feel like it works. So pretend you're a teacher, and the scenario does not happen, but your job is on the line. Like they're like fed up with you for whatever reason, and they're like, if you can get a 90% or above on your AP passing rates, then we won't fire you. And so you are like desperately, these are the weeks before the test, you are desperately trying to comment on these papers to help them get a higher score so that you can save your job. I hope that that gives you a sense of how to comment on the paper, because you don't want to just write good because they won't know what they're doing well, and you definitely want them to repeat the things they're doing well. And you don't want to just write like sloppy, because that's not going to give them like good sort of criticism moving forward. One thing I do very wrong on your essays that I just can't stop doing is I give you too much feedback. Think about the major things that this essay could improve upon, just to get, just 1 point higher, and really focus on maybe a couple points that they can help, they can try to fix. Okay, so the way that we're gonna time it for the first one, so you can kind of see how long to spend on the essay. So open the purple packet. first essay. It's in cursive. Are we gonna be okay?
Pseudo intellectual.
Let me see. Would you like me? Well, it was from 1999, so okay. That's probably just how they write. Raise of hands. Would you like me to read this out loud while you comment, or the other option would be to just read it silently? So who would like me to read it out loud? Okay, the rest of you silently. Sorry, Brooklyn. All right, so struggle through the cursive. So I'm gonna give you about 5 minutes to read through and comment on a couple points that this essay could do a little bit better, or that this essay gets really right. And then you're gonna consult as a group and figure out your scoring. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so what you're doing now is you read the first essay, you're going to grade this essay according to the new rubric, and you're going to give it a score for each part of it. And in class, you're working on norming those scores in groups, but since you're on your own, you're just trying to be as honest as you can with the scoring.